Well, hi guys, hopefully this finds you very well. My name's Paul, this is Plan Zed, and welcome to today's little session where I'm got a slightly different camera view for us. Over the next few videos, we're going to be diving deeper into the settings in both, so I want us to be able to see the screens clearer. Over the last two videos, I've been trying a couple of different things in the settings, namely the levels of the return level in the GT1000 in the send return, and the amp levels and the input level in the ToneX. And I want to just kind of talk you through where I've got to. I've made a change to the EQ as well. So let's go into both units. Now, if you're using YouTube, they've got the little, you can zoom in. I've got the camera focused on the GT screen so you can get in closer should you need to. Hopefully that will work. Now, at the moment, I'm not using MIDI to control the patches here. I'm going to get to that in a few months' time once I have understood the songs, the body of work that I'm going to be doing and how I want to use it. And if I'm actually going to use MIDI to assign all of my patches or just leave some of them free, I'll explain why in a little minute. Now, to start off with, let's just get our settings or where I'm starting out sorted, and then I want to talk to you about this control switch up here, which I've got in here doing some assigns. So we're coming into here, and I just want to show you that the input trim first video was 12. We were floating around 12, 11, 10. In the second video I had it on 10, but in this video I'm going to have it on 12, and I think I'm kind of happier with it at around 12. Now the output level that's next to that is still on +3, and the main level here of the unit, this knob, I always just check it's set on 10, and then we're going to start out on the Les Paul. We've got the Tele, we've got the Casino. I want to hear how things sound. We're going to look at input levels as well, but before we do that, signal comes from the guitar into the input, which we'll go to in a minute. But the send return now is going same as previous videos, sending out instrument level at 100. We're set to normal, but the return level now is at 70. Now in the first video I had it at 75, in the second video I had it at 50, and I'm kind of happier with it at 70. Okay, now having done that, I've got an EQ here where I'm using a parametric EQ and I'm bumping the level by 2. Okay, I want to check this when I do my plexi and before I put my end of chain compressor on, which I'll do in a few videos. But I've kind of discovered here with the Dumble, even though the Dumble has a roll off at around 300 Hertz, I still want to take a little dip here. So I'm taking 315 on a Q of 1 -1. And I'm still taking the cut at 4K on a Q of 8, but you know, there's a 6, and I just found, let's go through a couple of patches. Let's open up the back pickup. I feel like that gives me more bite, but I'm going to leave it at -6. So let's come to a lower gain patch. Let's go back to both pickups. Okay, so for the moment I'm going to leave that at -6 on the 4K. Now I'm leaving the low cut 125 as per before, and the 10K cut at 10K for the high cut. What I'm going to do is just save that. And I'm just going to take out across these 5 patches that 1 dB at 6K. I did bring it up to 5, but I want consistency across these patches when I start bringing effects and drives and things in. And if I decide to bring that back, I will. It's only 1 dB, but it's dealing with a bit of harshness around 4K that our ears really don't need. That one's already on 6, look, so. Okay, so now let's go to the input and we'll start looking at different guitars and a few more patches. I want to kind of look at a few things. So we're going to go to input settings, into the input. Now I use a Gig Rig 321 to level my guitars before they hit GT1000. So this level here is just bringing up the overall level that I got to, okay? And here, you kind of almost want to ignore this number, okay? Just look at where I've got it leveled. So my neck pickup, my back pickup, you see the back pickup will go slightly over. Both pickups. Okay, so that's both pickups. Let's go back to the neck. And I've got that pickup on full at the moment. We're quite clean. Just gonna pick up the Tele. Actually, you know what? Let's go for the Casino. So just change the channel on the Gig Rig. Gonna come in on the neck pickup, full pickup. Both pickups. Back pickup. On both pickups. Going to the neck. So we're ending up there, neck pickup on full. Let's go to the Tele. Now the reason I've taken 3 videos to get this right is because once I've done all of this, setting up the levels, getting my EQ right, I don't want to touch this again now unless I have to, unless I come across a problem when I'm dialing in other amps. And I've just picked the Dumble as a starting point. It was the second patch and gave us something to explore that we don't normally have in a GT1000. Now let's bring up this neck pickup. Both pickups. Back pickup. now we've looked at the input, let's talk about the control switch now. So what I did was I've set up a dual control switch just to see what options we get in here. And if you go into, and I want to talk to you about a little thing here. So when we come into here, we've got global settings. We come across to external control. Come back out of there. External control. And I've got it to NC dual. Okay, so that'll be a closed switch. And in here, we've got it set to dual switch mode. And I can have either bank or patch. Now, there's a little thing here I just want to kind of get across to you with how I plan to use this unit. And it's a bit of a question for other people. Like, how will you use that, for example? You know, I don't see the point in a patch one. It's a stomp box. It's going to be on the floor. I'm going to be hitting these. So I don't want to be touching that to get through my patches. You know, it just makes sense for me to hit this. But what I did want it to do was go through the banks. Because I'm live looping, okay? And what I really like about a GT1000 is I've got a dual switch set up to do the same thing. And what that's done is it's taken away the up and down, bank up and down, which means I can assign these for different things. I can use it for MIDI or controller signs. You know, that would be snapshots if you use Helix. We use controller signs. And, you know, here, if I'm on this patch, and let's say I want to drop into something that's very different, I can go to it, and let's say I can't remember for a little moment, or I need to finish just playing something, I'm live looping, so I'll be pressing other buttons and things. I want to be able to hover there and then land on that patch, if I choose, yeah? With this, when we press the two buttons together to do the same function, it does what my GT1000 does. It goes up a patch, and then I can select which one I come in on. So let's say I know I'm running the unit the same way the unit's intended to. I've got my low gain, my medium gain, my high gain. And when I go up to bank 1, I've got another dumble, but it's different. And here, I could choose to come in the high gain. So I've got a different high gain there. Let's come down. That's the lead. Let's go back. Can you see it goes straight to it? It doesn't hover, it goes straight to it. And it goes straight to the one directly above. Or in this case, yeah. So I can scroll through like that. But the audience knows I'm scrolling. So for me, I can only use this switch when I know I'm switching to something that's directly above it, or we'll go to the basement in a minute. Hang on, that's or when I'm not playing, if that makes sense. Which to me is a function that both ways that I can use this switch are kind of useless to me. I would like an update if anyone at IK Multimedia ever sees my quiet corner of the internet. Get this, so it does exactly the same way as you do when you press the two buttons. So it goes up and hovers, and then I can pick A, B, or C, not just go to only the one above it. It's a bit like being, I don't know, I don't want to make an analogy and offend anyone, but to me it's just not logical. As someone that would use it live, you know, and that's what I think this is intended for. We need that space, that pause sometimes, and the flexibility to go, you know what, I want to go from this patch to when I come down, let's go. I've got two cleans. If I use the control switch, I can only go to my clean that's below it. Whereas if I use the up switch, I could go to a high gain from a clean. Now, obviously, I could set up MIDI to do that and operate this from GT1000, okay? Yeah, it'd be nice to not have to do that and save that space for assigns for other things. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to get into is why I want to think about why and if I need to set up MIDI. Because if I can get control over the amps here, then in my patches, let me just show you how simple this is. Right, so I'm coming in, nothing happens before the amp at the moment. Now I've got 4 EQ blocks. I could stick one down the front and shape the tone before the amp. I've got an EQ block after the amp. Just taking that little notch out to 6. But then after the amp, and before this amp, I used this video to kind of talk through clones. So I've got 2 clones in here that I can stack. But I've got delays in here using what we call divides in GT1000. So for those who've been asking me, about GT1000, hopefully I've mentioned, a little bit about MIDI. We could control this with this. I'm not going to dive into it deep dive yet because I need to plan myself for that, and I won't be able to do that as quickly as you need me to. But here, I want to show you how the power of the two together. So here we've got the single signal, mono signal comes in, hits what we call a divide. And here, my dry signal goes over the top, okay? Now, the B path signal hits another divide where I've got a spring reverb. Now, that spring reverb, when I've got the heel back, we've got both reverbs at the moment. So let's, we've got a bit of room reverb here on, I'm going to leave that on. And then I'm going to extend the toe on my expression to get more. Give ourselves a comp. Okay. Now, I've run a parallel path here that when I engage this button, you'll see this opens up. And here, I've got a delay. But what I've done is to give this delay more width. I've put another divide before it with, at the moment, nothing. But I could put other things in this divide to spice it up. But it's giving me a stereo path. Now, in this delay, we've got control over a few things using these 2 buttons. So let's, I just want to flag that to start with, we've got, turn that comp off for a moment. We've got the time at 125 milliseconds and the feedback down on 10. But I can increase both together simultaneously with the expression pedal. On the both pickup position on the guitar. Now, this is set up like that. We've got no modulation on. But here we're using the bin drum echo. We're using the swell mode, so I could change the mode if I want. But when I've got the flutter up, no direct mix, because obviously we've got our direct signal for the amp going up this top path of the divide. But here, I've got control over the head. So we've got a 2 + 3 + 4 heads. Let's just pull the expression switch back, which brings back the time and the feedback, remember. Let's go to a single head. So I just changed it to 1 head. Let's go back. Now, obviously, if I make that change when I'm not playing, it doesn't make any sound. So if you're strategic with how you make that change, or you can use it for effect. But what's quite nice is this button here. Now, this button does one job. So this button is just changing the heads. The expression pedal is changing the time and the feedback. But if I leave the time at 120 mil, press this button, which just sends the feedback up to 100. You can already hear what happens. Now let's change the head. Oh, let's push the expression switch forward. disengage from the delay for a moment. So now we've got just our reverb. Let's change out. A bit more gain. Open up the back pickup. I can leave that craziness all the way around me. And when I press this button again, it's going to take my feedback down to 70. Let's just get to a low gain. Pull back that gain pot a touch. So while I've got the delay off, I'm just bringing back the feedback and the time. Let's put it on again. Change the head, see what it sounds like there. Just going to pull back the time and the feedback. Going to get that feeding back. If I was able to trigger things with my feet while I'm playing, I could get a bit more creative with that. Okay, so that just gives you a little flavor of some of the things we can control. And there I'm just controlling a delay using divides in the GT1000. In contrast, I can't remember, I think I covered this patch the other day. We've got a wet channel here where I've got a dry channel. Here's my dry. I've got a slicer happening in the background here, running into a bunch of stuff. And one of the decisions I need to make over the next week or two is I've got an end of chain compressor. I want to put that at the end of the chain. Just going to disengage from the delay. Leave the feedback hanging around me. Yeah, so I'm going to be playing around with these kind of things, but we can now isolate this. Let's bring that feedback back, put the delay on. Spice that up. Let's go upper patch and a bit of gain. Let's take off the chorus. But I'm using this as a specific sound to do a specific job when I'm live looping. So I will just have it set as a wet channel for when I land on it. Now, the thing I want to get across with the MIDI thing, and one of the reasons why I want to think about what I do there, is with all of these patches, I could stick any amp through this. Now in GT1000 at the moment, for every one of these patches I've got, if I want this same patch with a plexi, I've got to create this, do a copy of this patch and then dial in a plexi, and it's taking up 2 patches. I can just have the one patch and put these amps through it. change as many amps as I want, and I only need the one patch. If that makes any sense, which for me as a live looper is an attractive proposition, because I want to be able to use GT1000 cabs and ToneX. So let's come out of here. Let's go to a stereo patch to give a feel. So here, we land on the same amp that we've got there. What I've got to do is level up this side where I've got a twin at the moment, but I could have any amp with any of the cabinets and mics and power amps that come in 2 notes cab M. Let's get a bit more. Now here I've got a high gain channel on the twin on this side. Let's go a bit more gain there. So if you're in headphones, what we've got is we've got ToneX on the left, and we've got GT1000 twin going into cab M on the right. And with a MIDI set, and this is the kind of patch where I would use MIDI. When I press this button, I go low gain. So I'd want this amp to go low gain. So it's really flexible, and all of that is happening in GT1000. I'll be diving into all of these patches, and I've got some really nice patches that I want to. Now I've got this. I'm going to level this up so they're complementary to each other. It's not going to be the same. They're different technologies. And we'll talk deeper about that as we get into it, because we're modeling algorithms that are copying the, when you change the lows on a twin, it's changing the mids as well. When you change the highs, it's changing the mids. But with ToneX, you literally will be just changing the mids of that captured moment, or changing it. If you change the lows here, it will affect the lows and only the lows. It's not really going to affect your mids in the same way, because it's not modeling the amp. It's just a capture of an amp. So, yeah, let's get into that when we get into the plexis. Before I head out of Dodge, I just want to, let's bring that back. Let's just hear, where was it? I want this one. 4. So, in here, we've got a basement. I haven't leveled it. It's touch loud there, maybe on my high gain, but I took that one and copied it, made it a bit lighter, and then I copied that So I would say in just one patch, you can get a couple of gain stages out of that quite easily. And we'll better dial that in the next video when we start looking at that and maybe some Marshall amps. Hopefully you're getting the flavor of things. I'll catch you a bit later. Take care. Bye.